ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Welcome. So, in our previous class, we discussed till verse 8 of chapter 2, where we saw that admitting and stating the negative effects of delusion and weakness, Arjuna is surrendering to Krishna for his welfare and asking for his advice. So he also showed his dispassion by saying that the ruling power over the three worlds, that is upper, middle and lower planetary systems, cannot remove his sorrow. So with this, we will learn the verses, the next two verses, 9 and 10, what Sanjaya has to say, we will see. So first I will recite the verses and then we will discuss together. Sanjaya uvacha evam muktva hrishikesham gudakeshah parantapah nayotsya iti govindam uktva tushnim babhuvaha. Sanjaya uvacha, that is Sanjaya said, evam, thus, uktva, speaking, Hrishikesham, unto Lord Krishna, the master of the senses, Gudakeshaha, Arjuna, the master of curbing ignorance, Parantapaha, the chastiser of the enemies, Nayotsye, I shall not fight, Iti, thus, Govindam, unto Krishna, the giver of pleasure to the senses, Uktva, saying, Tushnim, silent, Babhuva, became, Ha, certainly. Translation. Sanjaya said, having spoken thus, Arjuna, chastiser of enemies, told Krishna, Govinda, I shall not fight, and fell silent. Verse 10. Tamovacha Hrishikesha prahasanneva bharata senayorubhayormadhye vishidantam idam vachaha. Tam, unto him, uvacha, said, Hrishikeshaha, the master of the senses, Krishna, prahasan, smiling, eva, like that, Bharata, O Dhritarashtra, descendant of Bharata, Senayoho, of the armies, Ubhayoho, of both parties, Madhye, between, Vishidantam, unto the lamenting one, Idam, the following, Vachaha, words. Translation. O descendant of Bharata, at that time Krishna, smiling in the midst of both the armies, spoke the following words to the grief-stricken Arjuna. So these are the two verses that we will try to discuss a little bit. Okay. Just a minute. So, a few words are very significant in these two verses, and we will try to discuss about these in brief. So, the first word is Hrishikesha. Why Sanjaya particularly uses these addresses, Hrishikesha and Govinda, these two addresses Sanjaya uses in these verses for Lord Krishna. So why? We see when Arjuna says that I shall not fight, Sanjaya anticipated that Dhritarashtra would be very happy to know this, that Arjuna is withdrawing himself from this battle. So, just to wash out the joy of Dhritarashtra, for Arjuna had declared not to fight, Nayotse, as is said, and Sanjaya, and in the following verse also, the verse number 10, Sanjaya actually disappointing Dhritarashtra by these two addressing. Because, as we know, the meaning of Hrishikesha is controller of the organs. So Sanjaya knew it very well that Hrishikesha, the controller of the organs, is taking the control of the senses of Arjuna, and Arjuna will definitely overcome his attachment to the material world. So Arjuna will soon be enlightened and would fight under the Lord's instruction very soon. And fighting under Lord's instruction means also assurance of victory. So many things are there to disappoint Dhritarashtra by this addressing. And then is Govinda. Why using this? As we know, the normal meaning of Govinda is who gives pleasure to the organs and to the cows. So we see the deeper meaning also, that is being the presiding deity of the organs. Govinda, or Lord Krishna, is aware of the activities of all the organs and possessed of the words in the form of Vedas. That is, the omniscient, he is omniscient, for he is being the source of the Vedas. So, very beautifully here by Govinda, Lord's omniscience nature, and by Hrishikesha, Lord's omnipotent nature is being exhibited by Sanjaya. And then the next important word is Parantapa. So why for Arjuna? It is being used for Arjuna. Parantapa means the scorcher of enemies. So by this particular word, Sanjaya actually is reminding Dhritarashtra of the chivalry of Arjuna. So the next word is Senayor Ubhayor Madhye, that is in between the two armies. So here Senayor Ubhayor Madhye, the inner meaning is it actually represents duality between material world and Bhagavan, duality between delusion and eternal peace, duality between Preya and Shreya. Preya means sense gratification and Shreya is the highest good. So we see this duality, confusion, perplexity, these are predominant in every step in this material world. And as we studied in verse number 7 in our previous class, Karpanya dosha upahata swabhavam. That is, miserliness has afflicted my mind. O Arjuna, O Krishna, I am losing myself, as Arjuna was telling. And he says that Shishyah te aham, that is, I am your disciple. Shadhima, just instruct me. Prapannam tvam, surrender unto you. So we see that all Vedic literatures advise us to take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master to free ourselves from this duality or perplexity or confusion. Now these confusions are like forest fires, and the spiritual master, who is like a rain-bearing cloud that pours water to extinguish the forest fire of material world. Samsara davanala, Guru Ashtakam. So the dark rain-bearing cloud like Krishna, because we know the body color of Krishna is just like the dark rain-bearing cloud. So the dark rain-bearing cloud like Krishna, the supreme spiritual master, and his nectarian instructions in the form of the scripture Gita is the reliever for Arjuna and for every spiritual seeker. So we see this talk was openly exchanged in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and all the assembled people were benefited. So we can understand from here that the instructions are not for any particular person, society, or community, but they are for everyone. So the next important word we find is Senayor Ubhayor Madhye Vishidantam. The next word is Vishidantam. So Vishidantam means unto the lamenting one, or who is in melancholy. We see the material attachment is irresistible, and the path to go beyond this happiness and distress and attaining ultimate bliss is very difficult in the beginning. That is, the spiritual path is also not very easy to walk on. In the beginning, it is really difficult, and even to that extent that the process also can make one melancholic initially. So that is why we see when Bhagavan scolded very mildly, Arjuna scolded Arjuna very mildly in the beginning of this chapter, that is verse number 2 and 3, we saw that kutastva kashmalam idam vishame samupasthitam anarya jushtam asvargyam akirtikaram Arjuna Klaidyam masmagamaha partha naitatvai upapadyate kshudram hridaya dorbalyam tyakta uttishta parantapa. Lord says very clearly that, O Arjuna, come out of this delusion. This kind of impurities of mind that veils the true vision is not befitting you. You are an Aryan, and your life should be based on the spiritual values. So, and also he said that, O son of Pritha, that I don't approve your false magnanimity and your pseudo renunciation. But we saw that after all these powerful words from Bhagavan also, Arjuna was insistent upon this point, that how can I fight with my worshipable people like Bhishma Deva and Dronacharya. So he said this. So it is, we may have little doubt from this point that is Arjuna's surrender questionable? But truly it is not because that his surrender is questionable, but it is for the fact that grief, lamentation, anxiety, all these negative emotions lead to a kind of depression. And they have deep effect on the physical body also. These are resultant of darkness and ignorance and lead to inertia. Jadya. So, in this state of mind, the person is not able to move even 1 inch. And here we see this is the condition of Arjuna. And that is why this contradictory behavior we find. That is, taking the position of a disciple and at the same time declaring not to fight. Nayotse, I shall not fight. So in this connection, the next word we see in verse 9, tushnim. Tushnim means silent. Silent here means becoming passive. Becoming passive, that is stoppage of the activities of the external organs that had been performing previously when Arjuna was ready to fight. We saw in chapter 1. Initially, Arjuna became very enthusiastic, and he took up his bow and arrow very chivalrously. And then, due to this tremendous attachment, everything was changed. He became deluded and was lamenting. So that is why he became silent and passive. His internal organ and external organs all became passive. The next word is Gudakesha, that Sanjaya again uses for Arjuna. Gudakesha derivatively means one who has conquered sloth or sleep. Here we see Sanjaya is very confident that Arjuna will overcome sleep. That is, sleep in that sense, sleep means here inertia and ignorance. By the grace of the Lord, who is Rishikesha and Govinda, who is completely aware and controller of the organs of any living entity. So that is the purpose of using this particular address, Gudakesha. And the next one is in verse 10, Prahasan iva bharata. Prahasan means smiling. Now, why the Lord was smiling in this critical situation? We see here the Lord is smiling for 3 different reasons. One is from confidence on the self. He was very confident that definitely everything will be perfect. And number 2 is compassion for all creatures. As we know, the Lord is very, very compassionate. And number 3, being chosen as the master, what he truly is. That is, he is the universal master. As a confident and compassionate doctor we see in this material world also, cures a patient okay. As we see, a confident and compassionate doctor cures a patient who has come for a recovery. Similarly, here Sri Krishna is the Bhava Roga Vaidya. This particular term is being used for the Lord in many places because he is a very confident and compassionate doctor to cure the disease of this material world. Bhava Roga means the disease of this material world and Vaidya means the doctor. So he is very pleased for the surrender because Unless one surrenders at the lotus feet of the master, he cannot instruct the disciple, and the disciple will also not follow them with faith in his heart. So here Sri Krishna is ready to take him high above the material bondage. And moreover, we know that Sri Krishna and Arjuna was very intimate friends. So here we see the relationship is taking a turn. From a friendship, it is turning to master-disciple, guru-shishya relationship. So as the Supreme Lord, he is always the master of everyone, all the living entities. But he agrees to play various roles as friend, son and lover, etc. according to the constitution of the devotees. As Bhagavan himself says in Bhagavad Gītā, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tam tathaiva bhajamyaham. So when Arjuna accepted him as the master, Sri Krishna immediately assumed the role and started speaking with gravity, which is befitting to his supremacy. Now, always above the effects of the material nature the Lord is. So he has no reason to lose his smile in any situation. As we see in Bhagavad Gītā 13.15, that is Sarvindriya Gunabhasam Sarvindriya Vivarjitam Asaktam Sarvabhritchaiva Nirgunam Gunabhoktrucha. That is the super soul or Paramatma is the original source of all senses. Yet he is without senses. He is unattached. Asaktam. Unattached. And he is the maintainer of all living entities. Sarvabhrit. And he transcends the mode of material nature, and at the same time, he is the master of all modes of material nature. So that is why we know that all the Acharyas has stated in different places that Sri Krishna had always a smiling face, because there was no reason to lose his smile at any situation. The next three verses we will have to study together. So it is better for us to keep it for our next class. So with this, we will come to the end of today's session. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you.